The Atlantic Ocean has swallowed countless ships over the centuries, but sailors insist that some places never let go of the souls they claim. Far from the busy shipping lanes, on a lonely island surrounded by jagged black rocks, stands Blackstone Lighthouse. Built more than 100 years ago, the lighthouse was once a symbol of hope. Its bright beacon guided ships safely through violent storms and thick fog. But today, the tower is abandoned. Its windows shattered, its walls stained by salt and time. Yet every year, on the same stormy night, an old radio frequency comes alive. A mysterious distress signal echoes across the sea. No one knows who sends it, because the lighthouse has been empty for decades. The strange signal first appeared shortly after the disappearance of the lighthouse keeper, Samuel Graves. Samuel had lived alone inside the tower for nearly 20 years. People describe him as a quiet man who never abandoned his duty, even during the fiercest storms. Then, one terrible night, every nearby fishing village saw an unnatural light flashing from a lighthouse. The beam rotated wildly instead of following its usual rhythm. Thunder shook the sky while waves crashed against the cliffs with unbelievable force. At midnight, the radio station on the mainland received a single message. A frightened voice whispered, "Don't let the light go out. It's already inside." The transmission ended with loud static. Rescue crews reached the island the next morning, but Samuel had vanished without leaving a single footprint. The lighthouse door was locked from the inside, and the lantern at the top was still burning. Years passed, and the mystery became local legend. Most people dismissed the story as an old sailor's tale, but experienced captains refused to sail near Blackstone Lighthouse after sunset. They claimed that strange lights sometimes appeared inside the abandoned tower. Others reported hearing the sound of a foghorn even when the sea was calm. Some believed Samuel had died protecting the lighthouse from something no human could understand. Others believed he never truly left. Among those fascinated by the legend was a young investigative journalist named Ethan Carter. Unlike everyone else, Ethan believed every mystery had a logical explanation. Hoping to uncover the truth, he gathered old documents, weather reports, and forgotten newspaper articles. One detail caught his attention. Every ghostly signal appeared on the exact same date, and at nearly the same time each year. Determined to solve the mystery, Ethan traveled alone to Blackstone Island with cameras, recording equipment, and enough supplies to spend the night. The island greeted him with silence. Even the seabirds avoided the lighthouse. As he climbed the worn stone steps, he noticed deep scratches carved into the heavy wooden door, as if something enormous had tried to escape from inside. Dust covered every room, yet strangely, the old radio equipment looked untouched. It was impossible. Decades of abandonment should have reduced everything to rust. As darkness settled over the island, thick fog rolled in from the sea. The temperature dropped sharply, and an uneasy feeling spread through the tower. Ethan switched on his recorder and began documenting every sound. At exactly 11:57 p.m., the ancient radio suddenly came to life without electricity. Static filled the room before a weak voice whispered through the speaker, "Keep the light burning." Ethan froze. The voice sounded exhausted, frightened, almost human. Before he could respond, the lighthouse lantern above him burst into life. A powerful beam swept across the ocean even, though the machinery hadn't worked for decades. Outside, the waves became violent within seconds. Thunder roared overhead as though an invisible storm had appeared from nowhere. The radio crackled again. "It's coming back." Heavy footsteps echoed from the spiral staircase leading to the lantern room. Ethan aimed his flashlight upward, but the light flickered wildly. The footsteps stopped. Then came another sound. Someone was slowly knocking on the lighthouse door. 3 slow knocks. Silence. 3 more knocks. Ethan opened the door, expecting to find another visitor trapped by the storm. Instead, no one stood outside. Only dense fog covered the island. As he stepped forward, he noticed wet footprints appearing one after another across the stone path. No person made them. They simply formed by themselves, leading toward the cliff. Unable to resist, Ethan followed. The footprints ended at the edge of the rocks overlooking the raging sea. Suddenly, a shadow appeared below him. Floating above the crashing waves stood the faint outline of a man wearing an old lighthouse keeper's uniform. His lantern glowed with a pale blue light. The ghost slowly raised one trembling hand and pointed back toward the lighthouse. At that exact moment, a deafening scream echoed from inside the tower. Ethan rushed back. The lantern room was filled with blinding white light. Every radio in the building activated at once, repeating the same desperate message. Don't let the light go out. Don't let it inside. The walls began shaking violently. Cracks spread across the stone floor as icy wind spiraled through the tower. Then Ethan saw it. A massive shadow moved beneath the lighthouse itself, far larger than any human. It had no clear shape, only darkness that twisted like smoke. Every time the lighthouse beam passed over it, the creature shrank. But whenever the light moved away, it grew stronger. Suddenly, Ethan understood. The lighthouse had never been guiding ships. It had been acting as a prison. Samuel Graves had discovered that an ancient darkness lived beneath the island. The powerful beacon wasn't simply warning sailors away, it was sealing the creature beneath the rocks. On the night Samuel disappeared, he sacrificed himself to keep the light burning forever. His spirit remained inside the lighthouse, sending the ghostly signal every year as a warning to anyone willing to listen. The ancient machinery groaned as the beacon began losing power. Ethan raced toward the control system. Nothing should have worked. Yet the gears slowly responded when he pulled the old lever. The enormous light flared brighter than ever before. The shadow beneath the lighthouse let out a terrifying roar that shook the cliffs. The sea exploded into towering waves before everything suddenly fell silent. The storm vanished. The ghostly figure of Samuel appeared beside Ethan for one final moment. This time his face looked peaceful. He nodded silently before, fading into thousands of glowing particles that drifted toward the sky. When morning arrived, rescue boats found Ethan sitting alone outside the lighthouse. Every recording device had captured only static except for one clear sentence: "The light must never die." Authorities later demolished Blackstone Lighthouse, believing the danger had ended forever. But sailors still tell a different story. On stormy nights, deep in the Atlantic, they sometimes see a lonely beam of light sweeping across the fog where no lighthouse exists anymore. Moments later, an old radio frequency awakens with the same chilling whisper: "Keep the light burning." No one has ever discovered who continues sending the signal, or what would happen if it finally stopped. If you enjoyed this mysterious lighthouse story and want more terrifying tales of haunted places, forgotten legends, and unsolved mysteries from around the world, make sure to subscribe to Whispering Walls and turn on the notification bell. Your next favorite mystery could be even darker than this one.